Listen carefully. Every single one of us has two choices in life. Either we face ourselves today or we pay the price tomorrow. Too many people wait for tragedy, for loss, for rock bottom before they finally wake up. But why? Why wait for the storm when you can prepare yourself now? The first step is awareness. If you don't admit that you need to change, you'll never change. Denial is comfortable, but comfort kills growth. Ask yourself, what areas of my life am I pretending are fine, when deep down I know they're broken? Second, you must take radical responsibility. No more pointing fingers, no more blaming parents, the economy, or circumstances. The moment you own your life is the moment you take back your power. Awareness is the very beginning of transformation. It is the seed from which every change grows. Without awareness, we remain trapped in patterns that sabotage us, stuck in cycles we don't even realize we're repeating. Think about it. How can you change what you cannot see? How can you break free from chains if you don't even know you're wearing them? The truth is, most people walk through life half-asleep. They are awake physically but asleep mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. They follow routines, habits, and beliefs that were handed down to them, never questioning if these patterns actually serve them. And then they wonder why they feel stuck, frustrated, or unfulfilled. Awareness is about turning on the light inside the dark room of your life. Once you flip the switch, you see the mess that has been sitting there all along. Some people are afraid of that light because it exposes the truth. It forces them to confront the reality that they have been avoiding. It's easier to stay in denial, to pretend everything is fine, than to admit you need to change. But let me tell you something. Denial is a slow poison. It numbs you for a while, but it silently destroys your potential. Awareness may sting at first, but it heals. When you start becoming aware, you begin to notice your patterns. You see how you react in moments of stress. You recognize the excuses you've been making. You catch yourself scrolling mindlessly on your phone instead of doing the work you promised yourself you'd do. That self-observation is powerful because it gives you the chance to interrupt the cycle. Before awareness, you are on autopilot. After awareness, you finally take the wheel. Think about someone trying to improve their health. If they don't acknowledge they've been eating poorly, neglecting exercise, or numbing stress with bad habits, they'll never change. They might tell themselves, it's not that bad, I'll get serious one day. But one day never comes until they face the truth. When they become aware, when they step on the scale and see the number, when they notice the shortness of breath climbing the stairs, when the doctor warns them, it becomes a wake-up call. That awareness, although painful, is the spark of transformation. Awareness is not just about noticing problems, it's also about noticing opportunities. When you are aware, you start to see possibilities that were invisible before. You realize that the people you spend time with influence your energy. You notice that your mood changes depending on what you feed your mind, whether it's books, podcasts, or negativity from social media. You realize that your morning routine sets the tone for your entire day. These insights give you the power to make better choices. Without awareness, you live blind. With awareness, you live empowered. Some people say, I know I should change, but I don't know where to start. The answer is simple. Start by watching yourself. Observe your thoughts, your words, your behaviors. Journal them, reflect on them, question them. Awareness is like holding up a mirror to your soul. Sometimes you won't like what you see, but that's exactly why it's necessary. That discomfort is the doorway to growth. The more you observe yourself honestly, the more clarity you gain on what needs to change. But let's be real, awareness without action means nothing. Some people become very self-aware, but they stay stuck because they use awareness as an excuse. They say things like, I know I procrastinate, I know I'm negative, I know I'm lazy. But knowing is not enough. Awareness should not be a label, it should be a launch pad. Once you become aware, the next step is to decide. Will you continue repeating the same behaviors, or will you shift? Will you ignore what you now see, or will you face it head on? Awareness also requires courage, because the moment you see the truth, you can no longer hide behind ignorance. You can no longer blame others for everything. You must admit, this is on me. That's tough, but it's also liberating, because if it's on you, then you have the power to change it. You're not waiting for someone else to fix your life. You're claiming ownership of it. And here's the most beautiful part: awareness compounds. The more you practice it, the sharper it becomes. At first, you may only notice the big things, like unhealthy habits or toxic relationships. But as you grow, you begin to notice subtle details. You pick up on your tone when you speak. You notice the slight tension in your body when you're anxious. You realize when your thoughts start drifting toward negativity, and you catch them before they spiral. This level of awareness transforms not just your actions, but your entire being. The truth is, most people wait until life forces awareness on them. They wait for the wake-up call, the breakdown, the heartbreak, the financial disaster. But you don't need to wait for life to shake you. You can choose awareness right now. You can decide to stop running, to stop numbing, to stop distracting yourself. You can sit quietly, reflect deeply, and ask yourself hard questions. Am I living the life I want to live? Am I proud of the way I show up daily? Am I moving toward my highest potential? Or am I slowly drifting away from it? Awareness is the first step. It's not glamorous. It's not always comfortable, but it is essential. Because once you see the truth, you can never unsee it. And that truth, as painful as it may feel, is the beginning of freedom. When you become aware, you are no longer asleep. You are awake, alive, and ready to take responsibility for your destiny. That is where transformation begins. Taking radical responsibility is the turning point of every transformation. It is the moment you stop pointing fingers, stop making excuses, and stop living as if life is happening to you instead of for you. Most people spend their days blaming circumstances, blaming their past, blaming the economy, their family, or even luck for where they are. That mindset may offer comfort in the short term, but it strips away all your power. Because when you believe your life is controlled by things outside of you, you give away the ability to change. Radical responsibility is about taking it all back. It's about saying, this is my life, my results, my choices, and if I don't like them, I have the ability to change them. Think about how easy it is to slip into victim mode. Something goes wrong at work, and you blame your boss. You're not earning enough, and you blame the market. Your relationship feels cold, and you blame your partner. Yet in all of these scenarios, pointing the finger doesn't fix the problem. It only keeps you stuck. The real shift happens when you say, what is my role in this? What can I do differently? That's responsibility. It doesn't mean you caused everything that happened to you. Life throws challenges that are beyond your control. But radical responsibility is not about blame, it's about response. It's about owning the way you react, the way you adapt, the way you choose your next move. You may not control the storm, but you do control how you sail through it. When you take responsibility, excuses lose their power. Excuses are convenient shields we use to protect ourselves from discomfort. I don't have time. I don't have money. I don't have support. But here's the truth. Everyone has limitations. Everyone has obstacles. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck is how they respond to those limitations. Responsibility means you stop using obstacles as reasons to quit and start using them as reasons to grow stronger. When you take responsibility, your language changes from I can't to how can I. That single shift opens doors you never saw before. Responsibility is also about standards. Too often, people settle for less than they are capable of because it's easier than demanding more of themselves. They tolerate poor habits, negative thoughts, and low energy. But when you claim responsibility, you raise the bar. You stop waiting for someone else to inspire you, motivate you, or push you. You decide to hold yourself accountable. You decide that excuses are no longer welcome. You decide that if your life is not where you want it to be, you will do something about it. That level of ownership changes everything. There is incredible freedom in responsibility. At first, it feels heavy, like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. But in truth, it is liberating, because once you accept that your results are in your hands, you no longer need to wait for permission, for luck, or for someone to rescue you. You realize you are not powerless. You have the power to learn new skills, to change your mindset, to walk away from toxic environments, to take bold action even when you're afraid. That is the essence of responsibility. It gives you back control over your destiny. Look at the people who inspire you the most, the ones who achieve extraordinary results. They all share this trait. They refuse to play the victim. They refuse to wait for conditions to be perfect. They accept responsibility for their outcomes, and they do whatever it takes to move forward. That's why they grow, that's why they lead, that's why they succeed. It's not that life is easier for them, it's that they refuse to give excuses the final word. Taking responsibility also transforms your relationships. When you stop blaming others, you start focusing on what you can bring to the table. Instead of saying, "My partner never listens," you ask, "How can I communicate better?" Instead of saying, "My team doesn't perform," you ask, "How can I lead more effectively?" This shift not only improves results but also earns respect. People trust and follow those who own their actions. Responsibility is magnetic. It inspires others to do the same, of course. Responsibility requires humility. It means admitting that some of your problems are the result of your own decisions. It means looking in the mirror and facing the truth that you might be the one standing in your own way. That can sting. But humility is not weakness, it is strength, because once you own the problem, you own the power to fix it. People who resist responsibility stay trapped in the same cycles because they're too proud to admit they are part of the problem. Those who embrace it move forward because they are brave enough to say, "I need to change and I will." Responsibility also demands consistency. It is not a one-time decision. It is a daily practice. Every morning you must remind yourself, no excuses, no blame, no victimhood, just ownership. You hold yourself to that standard in small things, getting out of bed on time, keeping your word, following through on commitments. And those small choices compound into massive results. When responsibility becomes a habit, your life begins to shift in ways that seem almost unstoppable. In the end, radical responsibility is about stepping into your true power. It's about choosing to stop being a passenger in your own life and taking the driver's seat. It's about refusing to let circumstances dictate your destiny. When you claim responsibility, you step out of the shadows of blame and into the light of possibility. You stop waiting and start creating. You stop excusing and start executing. That is the power of radical responsibility. It is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Excuses are the invisible chains that keep people tied to mediocrity. They feel light at first, almost harmless, just words spoken to defend ourselves. But over time, those excuses pile up, and before we realize it, they become walls we cannot climb, prisons we cannot escape. The dangerous part is that excuses sound reasonable. They convince us that waiting, delaying, or avoiding is justified. "I'm too tired. I don't have time. I don't have money. I'll start tomorrow." These phrases become mantras that lull us into comfort while silently robbing us of progress. If you want to grow, if you want to achieve anything meaningful, you must break the cycle of excuses and replace them with discipline and determination. The truth about excuses is that they are lies we tell ourselves to avoid discomfort. They are shields that protect us from the pain of growth. It is easier to say, "I can't," than to face the fear of failing. It is easier to blame a lack of resources than to admit a lack of resourcefulness. Excuses keep you safe in the short term, but they keep you small in the long term. Every time you make an excuse, you are choosing comfort over growth, and comfort may feel good now, but it is costly later. A comfortable today often creates a regretful tomorrow. Breaking the cycle of excuses starts with brutal honesty. You must be willing to call yourself out. The next time you hear yourself say, "I don't have time," ask yourself if that's really true, or if it's just a matter of priorities. Because the reality is, people always find time for what truly matters to them. If something is important enough, you will wake up earlier, stay up later, cut distractions, and create the space. The excuse of no time is rarely about time, it's about commitment. The same goes for money. How often do people say, "I can't afford it"? But spend money on things that bring no value. It's not about lack of money. It's about lack of discipline and clarity about what really matters. Excuses thrive in the minds of those who avoid responsibility. They provide an escape hatch that feels comfortable, but they are dangerous because they trick you into believing you're a victim of circumstances. The moment you believe your excuses, you hand away your power. The moment you say, "I can't," you shut the door on creativity. The human mind is incredible at finding solutions, but it only does so when you demand more of it. When you replace "I can't" with "how can I," you open the floodgates of possibility. Suddenly, your brain starts searching for strategies, options, and opportunities that were invisible before. Think about the people you admire, the ones who succeed against all odds. They didn't have fewer obstacles than you. In many cases, they had more. What separated them was their refusal to give in to excuses. They didn't wait for the perfect conditions. They created them. They didn't let lack of resources define them. They became resourceful. They didn't say, "I can't." They asked, "What can I do right now with what I have?" That mindset turns excuses into fuel. Another truth about excuses is that they multiply. The more you use them, the easier they become to believe. Skip the gym once and you'll justify it with, "I was tired." Skip again and you'll say, "I had a long day." Before long, skipping becomes a habit and the excuses become your reality. That's why breaking the cycle is urgent. You can't let even small excuses slide because they compound into patterns that shape your life. Every excuse is a vote against your future self. Every act of discipline is a vote for the person you want to become. Breaking excuses requires discipline, and discipline is built like a muscle. At first, it feels uncomfortable, heavy, even painful, but the more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. When you silence an excuse and act anyway, you build trust with yourself. You prove that your word matters, and over time, that self-trust becomes unshakable. You no longer rely on motivation, which comes and goes. You rely on discipline, which carries you through even when you don't feel like it. One powerful way to destroy excuses is to anchor yourself to your why. When your reason is strong enough, excuses become weak. A parent who wants to give their children a better life doesn't say, "I don't feel like working today." They push through because their why is bigger than their comfort. A person who values their health doesn't say, "I don't have time to exercise." They make time because their why is living longer, stronger, healthier. When your why is crystal clear, excuses lose their grip. Excuses also collapse under the weight of accountability. When you surround yourself with people who expect more of you, it becomes harder to hide behind justifications. Accountability partners, coaches, mentors, or even a strong community can hold up a mirror and say, "That's an excuse. You're capable of more." Sometimes we are blind to our own patterns, but others can help us see the truth we're avoiding. And once the truth is visible, excuses can no longer survive. Ultimately, breaking the cycle of excuses is a decision. It is the moment you decide you are done settling, done hiding, done playing small. It's the moment you stop negotiating with your limitations and start demanding more of yourself. Every time an excuse appears, you choose discipline instead. Every time comfort calls, you answer with commitment. That is how you build momentum. That is how you transform your life. Because here's the reality, excuses will always be available, but so will results. The question is, which one will you choose? Will you continue defending your limitations, or will you rise above them? Will you allow excuses to rob you of your potential, or will you break the cycle once and for all? The choice is yours, and the time to choose is now. Your mindset is the operating system of your life. Every decision you make, every action you take, every result you create begins with what you believe to be true about yourself and the world. If your mindset is limited, your life will be limited. If your mindset is expansive, your life will expand. That is why rewiring your mindset is one of the most powerful things you can ever do. It is not about positive thinking in a shallow sense. It is about intentionally breaking old patterns, replacing disempowering beliefs, and installing new ways of thinking that align with the person you want to become. Most people live with a mind set they never chose. They inherited it from their parents, their culture, their environment. If they grew up hearing money is hard to make, they carry scarcity into adulthood. If they were told you're not smart enough, that belief becomes a ceiling they live under for years. If they experienced failure early on and never reframed it, they may fear trying again. The mind is like soil. It does not care what you plant. If you plant weeds, they will grow. If you plant seeds of empowerment, they will grow too. Rewiring your mindset is about pulling out the weeds of limitation and deliberately planting the seeds of possibility. The first step to rewiring is awareness of the thoughts you already live with. Listen to your inner dialogue. Do you constantly say, "I can't"? Do you tell yourself, "I'm not good enough"? These phrases may seem small, but they act like invisible scripts running in the background of your life. Thoughts repeated over time become beliefs, and beliefs dictate your actions. If you believe you are destined to fail, you won't even try. If you believe opportunities are scarce, you won't see the ones right in front of you. But if you rewire those beliefs, everything changes. Imagine replacing "I can't" with "I will find a way." Imagine replacing "I'm not enough" with "I am capable of learning and growing." Those shifts may seem subtle, but they alter the trajectory of your choices. Rewiring your mindset requires consistent practice because the brain loves familiarity. Old thought patterns feel comfortable even if they are destructive. That is why you must consciously disrupt them. When a limiting thought appears, catch it, challenge it, and replace it with an empowering one. For example, if your mind says, "This is too hard," you interrupt it with, "Hard is how I grow stronger." If it says, "I always fail," you respond with, "Failure is feedback, and feedback is how I improve." Over time, repetition rewires the neural pathways in your brain. Science shows that the brain is plastic. It can change at any age, in any stage of life, if you train it with intention. Surroundings also play a massive role in rewiring your mindset. You can't build an abundant mindset while surrounding yourself with people who constantly complain and settle. You can't cultivate confidence if you are always listening to voices that tear you down. Your environment is either reinforcing your old wiring or supporting your new wiring. That is why you must choose carefully what you consume, who you spend time with, and what voices you allow into your mind. Read books that stretch your thinking. Listen to mentors who challenge your limitations. Spend time with people who hold higher standards. Every exposure is either pulling you forward or keeping you stuck. Another key to rewiring is visualization and identity. Your brain operates in alignment with how you see yourself. If your identity is "I'm lazy," your actions will match that identity. If your identity is "I am disciplined," you will act accordingly. This is why affirmations alone don't work unless they become part of your identity. You must not just say the words, you must embody them. Picture yourself as the version of you who has already achieved the results you desire. How does that version think, act, and decide? Step into that identity now, and your brain will begin to align your behaviors with it. Rewiring also means embracing failure as part of the process. Too many people carry a mindset that says, "If I fail, I'm a failure." That is toxic wiring. The truth is, every person who has ever succeeded has failed countless times. The difference is how they framed those failures. Instead of seeing failure as an ending, they saw it as feedback. Instead of shrinking, they adjusted and grew. If you rewire your mind to see setbacks as stepping stones, you will move forward faster than you ever thought possible. Gratitude is another powerful rewiring tool. A scarcity mindset always focuses on what's missing. An abundant mindset focuses on what's available. When you train your mind daily to notice what is good, what is working, and what you already have, you create more resilience. Gratitude rewires your brain to find opportunities in challenges and to see possibilities in problems. That shift in focus changes not only your emotions but also your outcomes, because you act differently when you operate from abundance instead of lack. Rewiring your mindset is not a one-time event, it is a lifelong practice. Just as you don't go to the gym once and expect to be strong forever, you don't challenge your thoughts once and expect them to stay empowering forever. Life will test you. Old patterns will try to creep back in. But the more you train, the stronger your mental wiring becomes. Discipline, self-awareness, and intention turn new ways of thinking into automatic habits. Eventually, the empowering thoughts you once had to fight for will become your default setting. In the end, the way you think is the foundation of the life you build. If you keep the same mindset, you'll keep the same results. If you want new results, you must create a new mindset. Rewiring your mind is about taking control of the one thing that influences everything else, your beliefs. Once you change those, your actions change. Once your actions change, your life changes. The process isn't easy, but it is worth everything, because when you rewire your mindset, you are no longer a prisoner of your past. You are the architect of your future. Pain is one of life's greatest teachers, yet most people spend their entire lives trying to avoid it. They run from it, numb it, deny it, or complain about it. But here's the truth: pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Pain will come to you whether you ask for it or not. It shows up in failures, in heartbreaks, in disappointments, in setbacks. The question is not whether you will experience pain. The question is how you will use it. You can let pain break you, or you can let it build you. You can see it as punishment, or you can see it as preparation. Those who learn to embrace pain as a teacher discover strength, wisdom, and resilience they never knew they had. Think back to some of the most defining moments of your life. Chances are they came out of struggle. Growth rarely comes during easy seasons. It comes when you are stretched, challenged, and tested beyond your comfort zone. The athlete grows through sore muscles and exhaustion. The student grows through failure and long nights of study. The entrepreneur grows through rejection and risk. In every case, pain is not the enemy. It is the sculptor, carving you into the person you are meant to become. Without pain, there is no progress. Without challenge, there is no change. Most people waste their pain. They experience hardship, and instead of learning from it, they complain. They focus on how unfair it is, how heavy it feels, how much they wish it would stop. But pain without reflection is wasted. Every painful moment carries a lesson, and if you miss the lesson, the pain repeats itself. Life will keep testing you until you learn what it is trying to teach. That is why awareness in the middle of pain is so powerful. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" shift the question to, "What is this teaching me? How is this shaping me? How can this make me stronger?" That shift alone can turn pain into progress. Pain is also a mirror. It reveals where you need to grow, where you have been ignoring the truth. The pain of loneliness teaches you to value connection. The pain of failure teaches you to prepare better, to sharpen your skills. The pain of regret teaches you to act sooner, to stop waiting for tomorrow. If you are willing to listen, pain will always point you toward the area of life that needs attention. It is like a signal guiding you toward growth. But you must be brave enough to look at it honestly. There is also a kind of pain that comes by choice. The pain of discipline. Waking up early when you would rather sleep in is painful. Exercising when your body feels tired is painful. Saying no to distractions, delaying gratification, pushing through resistance. These are all forms of chosen pain, but the beauty of chosen pain is that it prevents the heavier pain of regret. You either embrace the discomfort of discipline today or suffer the weight of regret tomorrow. Discipline is temporary pain that delivers long-term freedom. Regret is long-term pain that offers no return. When you learn to embrace the pain of discipline, you unlock a life of growth and fulfillment. Pain also builds resilience. Every time you face it and survive, you expand your capacity. What once felt unbearable becomes manageable. What once crushed you no longer shakes you. Just like muscles grow by tearing and repairing, your character grows by facing hardship and rising stronger. Resilience is not built in comfort. It is forged in the fire of adversity. If you protect yourself from every struggle, you remain fragile. But if you embrace challenges, if you learn from them, you become unbreakable. That is the gift of pain. It strengthens your spirit. Too many people see pain as a stop sign, but it is actually a green light. It is life saying, "You are being stretched, you are growing, keep going." Imagine if you reframed every painful moment not as a curse, but as a classroom. Every heartbreak teaches love. Every loss teaches gratitude. Every failure teaches strategy. Every setback teaches patience. If you live with that perspective, pain no longer feels like an enemy. It becomes an ally, a teacher walking with you on the path to growth. Of course, embracing pain does not mean loving it or pretending it feels good. Pain hurts, it is uncomfortable, it is real, but it does mean accepting it as part of the process instead of resisting it. Resisting pain only makes it heavier. Acceptance, on the other hand, lightens the load. When you accept pain as purposeful, it stops being something you fear and becomes something you use. The greatest achievements in life often come from people who turned their deepest pain into their greatest power. The person who grew up in poverty uses that pain to fuel their drive to create wealth. The person who suffered rejection uses that pain to build unshakable confidence. The person who lost everything uses that pain to develop gratitude and resilience. Pain can either leave you bitter or make you better. The choice is always yours, so when pain shows up, and it will, do not hide, do not run, do not numb it, sit with it, learn from it, ask what it is trying to show you. Embrace the pain of discipline before life forces you to carry the pain of regret. See every challenge as preparation for the future you are building. Let every setback refine you, not define you. Pain is not here to destroy you, it is here to develop you. The sooner you embrace it, the sooner you unlock its power. Time is the most valuable resource you will ever have, yet it is the one most people waste without even realizing it. Money lost can be earned back. Opportunities missed can sometimes return, but a moment wasted is gone forever. That is why acting now, not later, is one of the most powerful decisions you can make. Too many people live as if they have all the time in the world, as if tomorrow is guaranteed. They delay their dreams, they postpone their goals, they keep waiting for the perfect moment that never comes. And then, one day, they wake up with regret, realizing that later has turned into never. Acting now is not about rushing blindly. It is about recognizing that life is short and the window of opportunity is always closing. Procrastination is the silent killer of potential. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It tells you, there's still time, do it tomorrow, start when you feel ready. But here is the truth, you will never feel fully ready. Conditions will never be perfect. There will always be obstacles, distractions, and reasons to wait. If you keep waiting for everything to align, you will spend your entire life waiting. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates clarity. Clarity creates results. But none of that happens until you act. Acting now means silencing the voice of hesitation. It means overriding the excuses and moving forward even when fear and doubt whisper in your ear. Fear will always tell you to wait. Doubt will always tell you that you're not ready, but action silences them both. Every step you take, no matter how small, proves to yourself that you are capable. Each action builds confidence, and that confidence fuels more action. Before you know it, progress compounds, but it all begins with the decision to start today, not someday. Many people believe they are choosing safety by waiting. They think delaying action will protect them from mistakes. In reality, waiting is the riskiest choice of all. Opportunities disappear, momentum fades, motivation dies. The cost of inaction is always greater than the cost of imperfect action. You can recover from failure, but you can never recover the time you lost by doing nothing. Regret is the heaviest burden to carry, and it almost always comes from the things you didn't do, not the things you tried and failed at. Acting now also builds discipline. Each time you follow through immediately instead of postponing, you strengthen the muscle of decisiveness. You train your brain to trust your word. This creates a powerful cycle of self-respect. When you say you'll do something and you do it, you prove to yourself that you are reliable. Over time, this reliability becomes a part of your identity. You stop being someone who delays and start being someone who executes. That identity shift changes your entire life because results only come to those who consistently act. Action also attracts opportunity. When you move, life moves with you. When you put energy into something, doors begin to open that you didn't even know existed. The people you need to meet, the skills you need to learn, the resources you need to find, they all show up after you've already taken the first step. Waiting keeps you blind to opportunities because you are not in motion, but when you act, the path reveals itself piece by piece. You don't need to see the entire staircase to climb it. You just need to take the first step. Another reason to act now is that time has a compounding effect. Just like money grows with compound interest, so do your efforts. Every day you delay is a day lost in building momentum. Imagine if you had started that project 6 months ago, or that habit a year ago, or that skill 5 years ago. Where would you be today? Now imagine where you could be in another year if you start right now. That perspective makes it clear. The sooner you begin, the greater the rewards, of course. Acting now doesn't mean being reckless. It doesn't mean diving in without thought. It means starting where you are with what you have and improving as you go. Too many people paralyze themselves by overthinking, waiting until they have the perfect plan. But perfection is an illusion. Progress comes through action, adjustment, and persistence. You will never figure it all out before you start. You figure it out by starting. Life is short, and every day is a reminder that time is slipping. The harsh truth is that none of us know how much time we have left. The dream you keep delaying, the goal you keep postponing, there may never be another chance. Tomorrow is not promised. Later is not guaranteed. The only moment you truly own is now. The only time to act is today. So stop waiting for confidence. Confidence is built by doing. Stop waiting for clarity. Clarity comes from movement. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is this moment. Every day you wait is another day stolen from your future. Every action you take is an investment into the life you want. When you finally understand the value of time, you stop treating it casually. You stop wasting it on procrastination and hesitation. You stop promising yourself that you'll start later. Instead, you seize the moment, you act boldly, you take the step that scares you, and you keep moving forward. That is how lives change, not someday, but today. Acting now is the difference between living with regret and living with fulfillment. The choice is always yours.